Hi everyone! Welcome to another Callipeg keyframe animation process. This is an illustration that I did last year, October 2023 for autumn. For the final video, I used 3 apps. 1. Callipeg, 2. Procreate, 3. CapCut. Number 1, Callipeg is for the keyframe animation, Procreate for the full render of the illustration, and finally, CapCut for the post-production editing. Before I get started, I'd like to say please subscribe to my YouTube channel so that I can share more videos like this. Without any further delay, let's get started. The process here is actually a bit different. Usually I sketch in Procreate and put it in Callipeg, but this time I'm starting with Callipeg. I'm sketching there as a way to also experience how it'll be like to draw with their tools there, and so far I actually liked it. And the best part of it all is that I can actually make a rough animation just with the sketches, as well as plan way ahead of the part separation of each element, which is exactly what you'll see me do right now. As you can see here, I've already organized the layers and sketches into their own transformation key layers. This includes parenting the parts that need to move together when a certain part is moving. There are 2 separate parts in this area that I'm animating. The straw and the hand all the way to the elbow are together. I'm making this one a loop animation by putting the same keyframes on the start and the end of the animation. I'm starting this one off with the rotation animation just to have a feel of the movement that I would want to do with the straw. One of the features that I love about Callipeg when it comes to keyframe animation is the fact that you can actually hide the parameters that you want to edit and focus on, such as the rotation, scale, position. It really helps to not get overwhelmed with the curves and adjustments that you're making at the same time. On this part, I decided to start over with the positioning and decide to change the start of the loop animation in a different position because I wasn't getting the right movement that I want to start off when it comes to the hand movement and the steering. After a lot of attempts and I was still left unsatisfied, I decided to finally separate the elbow and the hand, which would help me add additional wrist movement. What I'm doing here is just duplicating the drawing layer and erasing the elbow part for the hand and the hand on the elbow layer. Now I'm just giving the hand layer here their own transformation layer. As I created a new transformation layer, I need to set the anchor point on the right position, which on the hand is of course on the wrist. Now that I've done some basic movement on the arm, I'm going with the wrist now and gonna experiment some movements with it. I won't be speaking on the full process of this video so that you can focus more on what I'm doing and how I'm doing it, because some of it is actually really experimental. Watching the playback of this rough animation definitely told me that I made the right decision separating the two, because somehow the movement feels more fluid. As you notice, the straw isn't moving along with the hand yet, and that's because it's not yet inside the transformation layer, which I'm gonna do right now. Now that I'm satisfied with the movement, I'm just finally combining the hand and the straw illustration. Now I'm moving to the body layer and just literally putting a scale movement to it, so the anchor point is right below around the waist. I'm adjusting the scale Y here just to give it a little gentle bouncing motion. Also do note that with the body motion, everything is under that specific transformation layer, so that it affects every single element. So right now, I'm just filling in the sketches just so that I have a very good idea of the layering system that I have going on in this animation, and making sure that everything that's supposed to be hidden is hidden and everything that's supposed to be seen is seen. One last addition to the parts, I decided to put upper arm movement to this, like along the shoulders on the right arm. I just feel like it would add more dynamic to the movement if I include that area as well. Now that I'm satisfied with this rough animation, I'm gonna head on over to Procreate to finally do the character design and the line art. I'd love to take this opportunity to say, please subscribe to my YouTube channel so that I can make more videos like this. This is a time-lapse in Procreate where I'm sketching my character design using the same pose that I used in the animation, as well as doing them separately for each part. Also, if you'll notice in the character design, I decided to go with braids instead. So I actually added one more layer like right at the very back, which is the right side of the braid. I usually finish like the full rendering of the illustration before I put them back into Callipeg and do the final animation. But for some reason, as this is the first time I'm doing this process, I decided to go ahead and just put on the line art first and see how the flow is with the movement, and of course the new layers with the design character. Do note that what I'm doing here is duplicating the drawing layers and replacing them instead. I don't necessarily throw away sketches because in a way it's good for me to look back on my process on how I did it, just so that in a way it's like a personal archive to me as to the process or learning curve that I went through when I did this project. I actually encountered a bit of an oopsie here and didn't realize that when I exported the sketch, I actually flipped the canvas so many times, and now when I'm updating the layers, it's actually flipped. But it's a pretty easy fix, as the only thing I really have to do is to flip the canvas in Callipeg. So now when I import the new elements, it's already in the right position. And here's the result with the updated line art illustration. Now I can finally and confidently go back to Procreate and render the full illustration. Let's go! I also decided to add some blinking animation, but for that one, I just went with frame by frame. Now it's time to import the final illustrations in the animation, and just like what I did before, I'm duplicating and keeping the line art layers and just adding new layers with the colored version. Now, I'm just making some final touches and some adjustments to the animation. Before making any changes to the animation, make sure first that each element or part is in the right position, because that might be just the only adjustment you need to make. One final adjustment animation that I really took notice of here is this shoulder part, just because this is the one that I didn't really do much rough animation beforehand, so now it's more of me literally going over it from the very beginning and just adjusting it to the way I would like it. And just one more additional detail, which is to put a little bit of a glaze effect above the coffee, just so that while I'm mixing it, there's this sort of milk mix that's happening, something like that. Now here's the result of the final loop animations. I exported two kinds here, one that is staring right at the camera and one that is staring at the coffee. I couldn't do a live recording of the process of me doing this because at the time, this was sort of a last-minute decision for me to do. So I just hope that everything that I show you here is enough for you to see the stuff that I used on it. Here's a screen recording of how I cut the loop animation and combined them in CapCut. I just played around with the text animation, fonts, as well as the overlays, filters, and effects there because there are a lot there and most of them are free. So I suggest that you guys check out CapCut too. And that's it. I hope that this video helps you in any way with me showing my process on how I do this. So I hope you had fun watching this one, and if you have any questions, just comment them down below and I will do my best as I make more videos like this to answer them. Thank you again for watching and I look forward to seeing you on the next video. Bye bye!